Hi everybody, Ken Owens here with Las Vegas Around the Clock. We are backstage for opening night of Nathan Phan's magic show here at the Alexis Park Hotel. Wow, confetti and all, wow. So I met you the first time just a couple months ago at Masters of Illusion afterwards, and you were on the big stage at Bally's doing big illusions and all of that. And your magic and your illusions were fabulous.
Thank you.
But seeing you here tonight, totally different.
Yeah.
You are a whole old-time vaudeville show all tied into one.
Shh, don't tell anyone. If everyone hears that I'm old-fashioned, they're like, no, don't want to see it. Yeah, well, I've always looked up to people who are, complete multi-talents. Like Sammy Davis Jr. is one of my idols, because he could sing, he could do impressions, he could dance, he could do, gun drawing, he could, do all this stuff. And so anyone who has this multitude of talents, being able to watch the old MGM movie musicals where it's like, oh, it's not just enough that, Gene Kelly is singing, but he's tap dancing in roller skates, right? As up and down the street, that kind of thing. So I love that I love bringing something unique and full of energy, something that the audience walks away saying, I could not have seen that anywhere else, and that was absolutely worth my time and my money.
And I think that's what's going to make you stand out so much more in all the shows that are here in Las Vegas, is that you bring that well-rounded entertainer to your show, and it's something that's not seen here on the Strip.
Yeah, and they always say be the change you want to see in the world. So I'm like, oh, this is something that I don't see existing, so I'm going to do it. I'll do that. Sure, sounds good.
So comedy, magic, singing, impressions, actor.
Yeah, acting. Actually, and so today we didn't have any TV screens. Normally, what happens, or what I was planning to do, is we have a TV screens up, and I'll play a short film that I acted in and wrote. And then that way I'll go and I'll change instead of just look at the pretty lights and go and dash off. But and then I also used to do improv and stuff like that, and a lot of storytelling, all that music, those years of musical theater, which is originally what I was planning on becoming, because I thought there's no way I can make a living as a magician. That's crazy. So I'll just do acting, because that's a thing that's easier to get into, right? Acting, yeah.
So your upbringing and your heritage is quite interesting. So
you don't say.
and you bring that into the show as far as having Vietnamese heritage, but yet when you speak, that doesn't match.
It is a jarring juxtaposition, I've been told by many people. And definitely a lot of people do. I once had a lady who thought I was making fun of her accent because she was like but she was English, so it was really weird because she just thought I was making fun of her accent. I was like, but I'm Scottish. You should know what a Scottish person sounds like. This is why we don't like you English people. So I grew up in Scotland from the age of 1 to 11, and it's one of those things that I can't ignore. I mean, I can. I actually got rid of my accent for many years, for like 10, 12 years. I spoke without the accent entirely. I was just American, because I got too much pushback on it. When I was in middle school, too many kids made fun of me, so I'm like, yeah, I'm getting rid of this. This makes no sense. Which is fine, because I grew up doing voices, so I could talk like Kermit the Frog for a whole year, and it wouldn't bother me, So I brought it back when I got drunk one night at the Magic Castle. People were like, oh, do another trick, and they were buying me drinks. And then eventually, the accent just kind of tumbled back out again, and they were like, why are you talking like that? I said, did I not mention I grew up in Scotland? They're like, no, you should talk like that all the time. And so now I do. I just brought the accent back, and you have to address it. Luckily, I also used to do stand-up comedy. I was in the stand-up comedy scene in Orange County for a little while. And so I learned how to just go out there with no props. And just like, well, it's just me and my words, and you guys, let's see how this works out.
And that's part of your unique brand as well, too. So that also makes you stand out from a lot of the other magicians that are around. Yeah. I also saw that you worked at Disneyland for a while, too, in the magic shop.
Yeah, I did,
How was it working with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse?
Oh, boy, they're so much fun. It was great. It really was a super magical time in my life, not just because I was working in a magic shop, but just being surrounded by... I'm very positive, so I just saw a lot of joy. There was obviously, you go to Disneyland, you see these parents carrying around these 2 years, like, would you just get over here? We're getting in line. I don't want to.
So that festive attitude and that positiveness and all that fun energy that you learned at Disneyland, you bring that to your show here every night too.
I
So
try to,
so
absolutely,
it's quite different. And the audience, I mean, tonight the audience was just loving it.
Oh,
so.
they were such a great audience. It was such a fantastic, and it was really nice to get that standing ovation at the end. It was just so much craziness to get this point, because originally we were supposed to open like last month, and then they pushed it back, and then I was like, nope, I'm going to be in Folsom for a week, so we can't do that. And so I didn't get the tech time that I thought I was going to get. I showed up here like at 2 hours before we opened. I'm like, well, let me bring all my things in and hope that this works.
Welcome to show business, people.
Yep. I mean, no, it's a Vegas show. It's super polished and professional. I mean, that's one of the things is, you can go and see like polished professionals like Copperfield and Penn and Teller, but my energy's a little slightly more chaotic.
They still mess up too.
They do from time to time. They do from time to time. I've seen them. They've gotten actually ever since Teller had that back surgery and Penn lost all that weight. Though they're just much more vivacious, and the act is rekindled with new life. But yeah, I try to bring something fun. Like even so, if something messes up, well, we're just going to steer right into this. There's no ignoring it. This is what just happened.
Kind of on a serious note too, I was doing some research on you on Google, and they mentioned that one of the driving forces for you to get into magic and all of that was to deflect bullying that you had at a young age.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. So it's not, it's not going to be a Hallmark movie anytime soon or anything. But yeah, there was a bit, imagine if you're a tiny Asian kid growing up in Scotland. You're going to be met with some resistance, just like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? I belong here just like you. Freedom, like this, you just do that. So I learned that, if instead of standing up to your oppressors or your bullies, if you instead make them laugh and you get along with them, you befriend them, then the next big kid that tries to pick on you, all the big kid steps like, oh, don't pick on the wee man, he's good for a laugh, And then, and then it's like, oh, good, I have my own, protective services here.
But I think that's also good. That's a good note too that people need to know, is that the arts and comedy and magic and all of that is good for kids. So if they can keep the kids in some of those programs, and I know the school districts nowadays are really kind of cutting some of those programs, which is kind of bad because it kind of takes away from being a well-rounded person.
Right.
And there's some outside organizations that are trying to bring it back and combat bullying and add self-esteem and things like that. With comedy and magic and improv and stuff like that, and I think you're just a perfect example of that.
It really is such an amazing, the arts and the humanities, I mean, it's called the humanities, arts and humanities for a reason. It's what makes us human beings. You may not be as rich as some other people, but you will live such a well-cultured and fulfilling life. I think it's about understanding different aspects of life, the different points of view, the way that people live their lives, it's different, and also being able to develop, a heightened sense of empathy and caring, and it's this community sense, because when you go and you do a single show, you learn so much, not only about what it's like to be stood there by yourself with a light in your face, and how to talk to people, how to stand, how to move, what is it like when I do this thing, but also backstage, the camaraderie, being able to remember things, which helps if you're going to do a presentation. Let's say you become a banker, you want to do a presentation, try quarterly report, whatever, you need to learn how to stand there and speak authoritatively. And so theater is just this everyone should take at least a theater class. Everyone should try an improv class and tap into that kind of creative process, because you never know when that sort of thing is going to come in handy. And when you watch these movies and you see these theater pieces, when else would you get to see? I'm seeing the African savannah come to life before my eyes. I'm seeing that this is a witch melting and I'm feeling for her. All these things. It taps into these different, it activates little parts of your brain that normally would never be accessed. And it just makes you a more conscious human being. And that's never a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not at all. So your show here is going to be at the Alexis Park.
Yep.
And people can track you on your website, and it's magicasianman.com.
That is correct.
Magicasianman.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Phan.